rhythm and movement that he has.
Yeah, it was the game plan. We stuck to the game plan. It was flatten them tires. I think people are not used to seeing me kick. And that first round, that's how I wasn't even headhunting. I knew that the head would eventually come. But the plan from the beginning was to take his legs out. If take his mobility, and then eventually the hands would come. I told you guys that he wouldn't go past 3 rounds, and I delivered once again.
The clash of heads, I mean, things were going well for you, right? And then you had the clash of heads. Fortunately, didn't stop the fight, but it looked, I mean, that could have been something that really distracted you. It did look like for a minute you got a little bit frustrated. So can you talk about that moment of kind of what you were thinking and how you get your mind back into, I got to move forward?
It's crazy. Every time I go through adversity, for some reason, man, like it's like my best friend, and I mean that. Because it gave me like a certain edge, because I knew that if that cut continues to keep getting bigger and I continue to keep leaking blood like that they're going to stop the fight. And, it gave me a little bit of rage too afterward. I'm just like, man, even though it was a headbutt, I'm just like, man, I got to go out there and I got to be able to steal or win that round, because that second round, it was a little iffy for me.
The stoppage, obviously it's not your job to make a call, it's the referees, but what did you see from your position? Did you feel like it was a good stop?
Man, every time I stopped somebody or I beat somebody, it was too soon. He didn't win the fight. Jesus! It was a perfect stoppage, man. I was hammering some. He started going limp. He wasn't getting up, and as you guys know, Dominic, he'll ground beat and he'll do certain things to get up, and the ref did his job.
And then, of course, you shocked us all with the retirement speech. I don't think any of us were expecting that tonight. Give me an idea kind of how long you've been considering this, when you came to this decision to walk away right now.
Yeah, but I talked to my mentor, Dave Zowan, especially after my shoulder surgery. I had that time off. And, man, I love freedom. This is why you guys saw me at a lot of UFC events. Like, I enjoy that stuff. Since I was 11 years old, I probably have about 600 competitions of wrestling matches in my life. That's all I've ever done, man. Like, I don't have kids. I finally got a girl now. But it's been, I wanna step into that new chapter in my life. I've been extremely selfish, rightfully so, to obtain what I've obtained. Can I say it again, guys? Olympic champ, flyweight champ, and bantamweight champion in the world, and I defended my both titles. And man, I want to leave on top. I did it in wrestling, and I want to do it now in the sport of mixed martial arts. And I just don't see myself coming back, man. I want to remain king forever.
The last thing for me, I mean, it sounds like an earnest retirement, and it's been all about an hour that you've gotten to enjoy it so far. But I mean,
feel old already.
Is there anything that would make you reconsider? I mean, if Dana comes to you and says, "Wait a minute, let's fatten up this check a little bit. All the cringe is working. People are buying into the king of cringe. We need you around."
Yeah, he knows the number. He knows the number, and but let all these other bantamboys kill each other. Let them have fun. If they're complaining that I'm picking fights and doing all that, I mean, look at my resume, man. They can say whatever the hell you guys want, but I've done everything. I've done everything, and I do feel like I should be part of Mount Rushmore when it comes to the combat sports. In combat sports, I do feel like I'm the greatest combat athlete of all time, what I've accomplished. In wrestling, I wasn't the greatest wrestler, Olympic champ, but I wasn't the greatest to say, hey, he's the greatest wrestler of all time. I'm not the greatest fighter of all time, but when you mix my resume and what I've done, I do believe I'm on top of that mountain, and I do sincerely believe that I am the greatest combat athlete of all time, and I do want to leave on top.
Henry, look, I think everyone who's been involved in MMA knows that retirements don't usually stay retirements. And online, I think probably dealing with the shock of you retiring, there's a lot of people saying that this is a renegotiation ploy. Is it something to do with renegotiations? Do you feel undervalued by the company, or is this really the end and you really do just want to walk away?
I really do want to walk away, but like I said, man, money talks. Money talks. But I'm happy with the UFC. I want to say thank you to Uncle Dana, Hunter Campbell. They take care of me, but I'm ready to start that new chapter in my life. As a Mexican American that comes from Mexican descent, man, I have nephews that are 27 years old and at 25. I don't even have a kid, you know? And I got about 12 nieces and nephews, and I want to start that new chapter in my life. And, you know, I could never do that as a kid that was raised by a single mother. I could never fight and try to raise a family because I know what it takes, man. And I know that I'm very selfish to myself. Like I said, rightfully so. So, you know,
What was
and it's not a plot, man. When I walked away from wrestling, I completely walked away, never looked back. And I rarely even went to a wrestling room. And I almost feel the same way with mixed martial arts. And wrestling was my first love.
What was Dana White's reaction?
I don't know, man. At first he was kind of like, do what's best for you. But he's like, shit. You know, we lost a good one. But, you know, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate everything that the company has done. I would never want to, you know, bad talk them because they give an opportunity financially. And I'm just looking forward to getting into business, to getting into real estate. There's so many layers to Triple C that you know, I don't even know who I am. Like, I love certain traits. I love to do certain things. And I'm like a bird, man. I love to fly. I love to experience new things. I'm a conqueror. I'm cringy. I'm corny. I'm cringy. But I'm a champ, too.
If so the title now gets vacant. If you were the UFC, who are the two fighters that fight for the bantamweight title now?
No, if I was the UFC, I'd make a tournament. I'd make a 4-bracket tournament. Peter Yan, Aljamain Sterling, Cody Sanhagen, and then I'm thinking of one more. Who? Sterling? Yeah, Sterling. I said Sterling, and maybe Baldo. I'm not sure, but no. I mean, yeah, I think that's fair. Or even Marlon. Throw Marlon up in that mix. Maybe. I don't know, man. That's up to the UFC. But I'm just saying, like, I just feel like these guys have to kill each other in order to get that belt now. And I don't feel like, as much as they like to complain, Peter, oh my God, Triple C is a piece of shit. He hasn't beat nobody. And I think he needs to fight an Aljamain Sterling or a Cody Sanhagen in order for him to get a title shot. Like, it's not just him because you beat Uriah Faber, dude. Come on. Or Aljamain Sterling, too, for that matter. I think he deserves it probably more than Peter or Petter.
Thanks, Henry.
Henry, straight ahead right here.
Yeah.
Any regrets in your career now that you're hanging up?
No regrets. I ultimately never really saw myself going back down to 125. The fight with Joe even the fight with Joe doesn't bother me. The loss there, because I don't think it's just not worth for me to go back down to 25. I ain't that crazy. I'm surfing at 35.
And then you called yourself a conqueror. What if Vince McMahon shows up and says you'll come on over to the squared circle?
Man, I would love to do an appearance, man, but the stuff that they do at the WWE, shoot, I would love to beat up on Rey Mysterio. He can bend the knee too, and Kurt Angle.
And then one final one, you, of course, from Phoenix, and Dominic is from Tucson. As someone from Arizona, there's a rivalry between those two cities. Does that make this victory even more sweeter?
Oh, absolutely. Like, I don't know if I could live with myself losing to Dominic, you know, and all respect to him. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why I even chose Dominic too, it wasn't so much, I remember one time I had called him, and this was because of my mentor. Because I was getting ready to fight Demetrius, and I had called him to ask him for advice, but it was because of my mentor. He's like, just put your pride aside, because I knew how Dominic was. So I called him, and he was like, oh, that's very humble of you, you know, and he just kind of started rambling on, and then I was like, well, that was pretty cool, you know, we had a conversation. Then I saw him again, and this time we saw him in a van. He kind of just shitted on me a little bit. At first I was like, maybe I'm a little too sensitive. And then I just thought about it. It just reminisced in my mind. And I'm just like, man, this dude was really, he was kind of a prick about it. And I says, since that day I wanted to fight Dominic. So it really had not so much to do with the legendary status, because I chose Aldo for that, but unfortunately he couldn't fight. But it was more of that kind of tugged me, that made me want to fight him again. That made me want to fight him because of that. You know, because even though I do say a lot of things, even though I do talk a lot of stuff, man, deep down inside, man, I'm a good person. And you know, if you guys don't like it, then I saved the division. I saved the flyweight division. I defended my flyweight title. I defended my bantamweight title. And I can die in peace, guys. And I deserve this, man. I deserve to leave on top with 2 belts. And there's no flyweight champion because that flyweight champion is right here.
Henry, when you walked into the ring tonight, did you know that win or lose, you were going to retire?
Yeah, I had already talked to my mentor. What I had originally thought, I was going to fight Aldo, and then I wanted to beat the greatest flyweight, bantamweight, and then featherweight and just call it. But just going through the process of what I'm doing and cutting weight and doing all that, I'm just like, man, it gets, and this is the God honest truth, man. It gets stagnant, man. I get, you know, it makes me want to explore different areas, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean? I've been doing this since 11. I'm 33 years old now, and I want to leave on top, man. And I wish, and I know Cormier, and I think of somebody like Cormier a lot because I knew that if he would have beat Stipe, that he would have just, you know, left the aisle. I mean, it would have been off. You know what I mean? Like, I want to leave on top, man. And I could have left on top too in wrestling at the age of 21 because I started to hate the sport. It's a crazy story, but I just knew that whether I was gonna win the Olympic gold medal or not, I knew that I was done with the sport because I had given everything to that sport, and I pretty much retired. And 3 years later, they convinced me to come back because of the financial side of it, and I ended up coming back. And I almost feel like the same thing here. Like I'm good, man. I know what I'm worth. I know my price, But I don't even think it's financially. I really don't. I just think I'm just so satisfied and just so happy with my career that I think I just want to move on to that next chapter in my life, and that's the baby carriage. One more time.
Does that mean wedding plans are in?
Eventually. I don't want to give too much, but yeah, it's more of that sense, man. I look forward someday to becoming a husband and then eventually a father.
What would you say was the pinnacle of your UFC career?
The pinnacle of my UFC career, man, there's a lot of great ones, but I think it was beating Demetrius Johnson. Even though a lot of you guys probably don't think I won, but I'll take that razor-thin victory because Demetrius Johnson is a very special athlete, a very special mixed martial artist. And if you're to ask Triple C who is the greatest mixed martial artist of all time, it's Demetrius Johnson.
On the scales, what wins, your UFC career or your wrestling career and gold medal?
Oh my God, this is the greatest sport, man. This is the sport that's made me. This is a sport that's made Justin Gaethje. This is a sport that's made Tony Ferguson. This is a sport that's made John Jones. This is a sport that has made Daniel Cormier, and they will all tell you the same thing, man. As precious as these belts are, there is no harder sport than the sport of wrestling.
Triple C, congratulations on the victory and going out on your way on top. A lot of people consider a TJ Dillashaw or Dominic Cruz the greatest bantamweight of all time. Now that you've faced both of them and beat both of them, in your eyes, which one is more talented?
I don't know, man. I don't think I had enough time for both of them. God, because the TJ fight was so fast, and then Dominic was a bit tricky. But man, I don't know, Shmo. I don't know, but I could say this, man. I am the greatest bantamweight of all time now. I just ripped that title off of both of their hands. So, to me, it really doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't matter, man.
Well, you mentioned Mount Rushmore. You put yourself on it. Who's the other
in the center?
In the center, who's the other 3 combat sports athletes on your Mount Rushmore?
Man, I would have to put Daniel Cormier as a 2-time Olympian, as a 2-division champ. You know what? I haven't really. Maybe Holly Holmes. I believe she's up there too. And if Kayla Harrison sometime makes it to the UFC and wins a title, I would put her up there. But I haven't really gave that much thought. The only thing I know is that Triple C is the greatest combat sports athlete of all time.
If this is the end for you, you definitely went out in a unique way, one of the best ways in UFC history. What advice would you give Daniel Cormier when he exits, whether or not he faces Stipe Miocic for that trilogy fight?
Well, obviously, I think he's got to win. I don't think. I think his stomach would turn if he doesn't. I would say, and this is some advice that I would tell him because I saw his fight, and I think Daniel needs to learn he needs to learn when to fight and when to compete. And if I was to give him some advice in that fight, is he needs to know when to fight and when to actually compete. So in other words, there's a time to strike, there's a time to hurt somebody, and there's a time where you got to clinch. There's a time where you got to catch that air. You know, it's okay to sacrifice a round. So I would, if that's a certain question that you're telling me, and honestly, I think that's where I strive more than anything. Like, I'll be willing to sacrifice a certain round. I've done it with Marlon Moraes, where I'm like, hey, I lost that round, but I just got to survive it. Come back that second and a completely different fighter. So it's the fighter and the competitor.
And lastly, from me, Triple C, Henry Cejudo is retiring. Is the King of Cringe also retiring?
I think so. I think the king of, I want to be normal, man. Like, again, guys, a lot of the props, a lot of the things that I've done in the sport, it started off by saving my division. Like Triple C will always be the messenger, man. Like, I will always be that person to say, hey, man, I'll do it. You know, throw me the Hail Mary. And I've done it, man. And I think a lot of people don't like me. A lot of people are like, man, get somebody to knock him out. But at the same time, they will always respect me for the stuff that I've done in the sport. And that's all I've ever wanted. If I had to sacrifice myself for that, then I'll do that.
Henry, one last one real quick. Was it bittersweet at all that you retired in an empty arena?
No, not really. Not really, because it became more personal as I turned around and I saw Heidi and I saw like a lot of the security team. I said, thank you. You know, I saw Hunter. I was able to conversate with them without hearing a crazy crowd. Like, these are the people that put these events together, and I'm extremely thankful for it. And it's not a money stunt, man. But we had another zero. But in reality, I'm satisfied and I'm happy with my career, man. This isn't a publicity stunt. This is. You can ask my team. I told them, you know, prior to this, and I told Eric again, and he didn't want me to retire. He's like, no. He's like, call them all out. I was like, no, Eric. I said, this is for me. I I told him in Portuguese, I said, vou aposentar. I says, I'm going to retire, man. And he says, no. He's like, call them all out. He's like, dude, no. I says, I'm out. Captain Cringe. I think he's still a little bitter. And where's that big-nosed bandit, too?
Congratulations, Henry. Great fight tonight. Leading up to the fight, Dom had a very personal attack on you and said that your whole life is boiled down to a chase for medals and belts. That's obviously something that he's trying to characterize your persona, that you don't have an independent persona outside of that chase. Now you have an opportunity to challenge that in retirement. What would you say to that, and will that be, in fact, the challenge for you?
Yeah, listen to this. After I won the Olympics, I went back to school. Literally, I was a kid that forewent my college career. I was recruited by every school in the country to train, to go Division One, to go to the NCAAs, and I decided to forego that for my Olympic career. But once I was done with the Olympics, I went back to school, man, for 5 years and got my degree. A lot of you guys will probably trip out when I tell you guys, but it's actually in theology. But I did that because I wanted to make sure that a lot of the kids that were looking up to me, that they could see, is like, hey, man, Henry, despite him being a gold medalist, like, hey, he literally went back, man. He went back to school and did it. I mean, I've done a lot of charity work. Ever since I started the Cringe, I stopped just because it's a whole new persona. But, man, I've gone to just about every high school you can think of in the state of Arizona, just going out there and sharing my story and doing things that matter. I mean, I speak 3 different languages. I have a family that loves me. I got friends that'll freaking take it, that'll take a bullet for me. God bless Dominic, man, and I forgive him for a lot of things because I hope they can forgive me too. So if you guys are to really get to know the Triple C, the real person, be like, man, dude, that dude he's cool, man. He's somewhat of a genius, man, because he's got us all fooled.
Congrats on a great career. You did it the right way.
Thank you.
Yes, congratulations. I just wanted to say, if this is the last time, what does it mean to be able to do this in a time where UFC really is, I suppose, in the center of the sports world right now? Only game in town, pretty much, and a time where the world's been waiting for something with sports to come back.
Yeah, it's again, man. I'm gonna be a fan now. I'm gonna be entertained now. You guys know how much pressure that I go through too. On top of being a fighter, you go through a lot of pressure. The things that I do prior to me fighting, it's all about promotion, helping the UFC and helping the brand and helping my brand. Guys, what I did up to the fight with Dominic, pulling those pillows out people's faces and kicking them. Dude, I got to show up. I got to do that. So I'm looking forward to entertaining now. I'm looking forward to being entertained. I'm looking forward to starting that next chapter in my life, man. Like, I'm not that type of guy with all due respect, man, I'm not a BJ Penn, man. I'm not these guys that they want to fight forever, man. I'm a conqueror, man, and I mean that. I've done it. I've retired young in wrestling as well, and I'm retiring young in the sport of mixed martial arts. Like, there's not much you can do to kind of pull me out. I know this he's still upset. Look at him. Look at him. Throw the camera on him, John. But it's my life at the end of the day. It's my livelihood. I got to wake up. I got to cut the weight. I got to listen to people's BS at time. Like, dude, there's a lot that goes into camp. But I couldn't do it without my training partners. First of all, my head coach, Captain Eric Alberison. He's been there with me since day one, man. Since I was a 16-year-old kid at the Olympic Training Center. Like, this guy, this is the guy that guided me. I mean, introduced me to my first girlfriend. I was actually texting with her. I had no game. Believe it or not, I got some game now. And he's been there for me. He's done a lot for me, and it's been awesome for him to be part of that journey with me. Captain, I love you, man. You are the man. I know we fight a lot, dude, but I respect the shit out of you, man. Thank you, Papa. Thank you, guys. One last thing before I leave. You guys turn on the mics. Can you guys turn it on real quick? I got one last thing before I leave here. I still want to see Ariel Helwani and the Schmo go at it. Please, Dana White, do it for Triple C. Triple C's out.
It's like an interrogation. I can't even see you guys. Holy shit. Can't even see my paper. We had two transports tonight, Price and Ferguson. Fight of the night was Ferguson and Gaethje. Performance of the nights were Gaethje and Francis. So that makes Gaethje 7 fights, 9 bonuses. That's pretty badass. Gate was 0, attendance was 0. That's a first.
Dana, I mean, obviously, I know it means a lot probably just to get this event done, to get back. It's an accomplishment in itself. But then to end it the way we did with that main event, just absolutely incredible. Can you talk about just how you're feeling at this moment after that fight?
Yeah, in talking to everybody this week, I mean, everybody knew how I felt about it. Literally, as a promoter, you can't go out and guarantee that people are going to see anything. This is like, I don't know, in my 20 years of doing this, maybe only the second or third time I've ever guaranteed you that the main event would be incredible. And, the fight was really good. I thought, I don't want to take anything away from Gaethje because he fought an incredible fight. But I thought Tony looked off tonight. Thought he looked slow, and I would have to imagine that cutting weight twice in a month will affect you, So I don't know if that was it or what, but the guy isn't fucking human. He's got a chin like nothing. Nobody takes Gaethje's punches like that. Nobody I've seen since I've been watching, Gaethje fight can take punches like that. But this kid did, man. Tony Ferguson is. He's a special human being.
No doubt. With there being no crowd, we could actually hear you afterwards. After the stoppage, you told Herb Dean, "Good job, ref. Good job, ref." So you felt the stoppage was well timed.
Yeah, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, especially this guy, because I love him. But Chuck Liddell is like blowing me up, saying that was a horrible stoppage, and that's crazy. I actually think the fight could have been stopped a little sooner, to be honest with you. Tony took a lot of damage tonight. Not only did he take a lot of damage, he took damage from a guy who fucking hits like a truck, a guy who punches very hard, and usually knocks people unconscious when he hits them with those shots. So I think the stoppage was great, and I think it actually could have been stopped sooner.
We haven't seen Gaethje yet. I mean, he clearly took a little bit of damage as well. But do you have an idea, how soon you'd like him to fight Khabib, or when we could put that fight together?
Well, Khabib tweeted that he's ready to go this summer, so we'll get back home next week and figure out, what's next and get this fight together as soon as possible.
Fantastic. I want to ask you about Henry Cejudo. Obviously, a great performance by him as well.
Incredible. Looked incredible tonight.
The retirement, take you by surprise? Did you have any inkling that maybe that was coming?
Yeah, he's been talking about retirement to us for the past several months. I didn't know he was going to do it tonight, but I knew he's been talking about it. And my opinion on that. If you start talking about retirement in this business, it's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Although I think he's one of the best in the world, right? He looked incredible. And say what you want about Dominic Cruz and his layoffs and all this other stuff. Cruz is a badass fighter with a very high fight IQ and very motivated to win, et cetera, et cetera. And tonight was a big win for Cejudo.
Yeah, no question. Now you've got to figure out what to do with the title. I know that you probably want to mull it over a little bit, but are there any initial leanings on what you would do? You've got Sterling and Jan saying maybe they should fight for the title.
It's Peter, Jan, and somebody.
Yeah.
We'll get that figured out, too. We'll make a title fight next week for the vacant title and probably do that fight as soon as possible.
Sounds good. And then last thing, I got to ask you about the Jacare news, of course. Everything came down last night. What were your thoughts on that? How did it play out? Because it was, I don't know, it seemed kind of weird to all of us that, we find out kind of last minute. It started on Wednesday. So what was the timeline? How did this all unfold?
Yeah, we found out last night. The whole world is weird right now. Everything's weird. This whole event's weird. It's different. We live in a different world than we did 2 months ago. And, the bottom line is the system worked. The system is you want to find people that, what you don't want to do is 2 days after the fight say, oh, shit, Jacare tested positive for, so it worked. The system worked that we put in place. Most of you that are here have worked with us for a long time. You know how we are. Without sounding like a jackass, we're really good at what we do. We're very, very good at what we do. And the way that this week went, we'll just get better. We'll get better by Wednesday. Then we'll be better by Saturday. And then after Saturday, we'll start to catch our stride and really get this thing dialed in and get it figured out. And the longer this goes, the better the testing technology is going to get and the faster it will get. And, we're going to prove by next Saturday that professional sports can come back safely.
Was there any discussion at all when it was first identified on Wednesday to just pull the fight then or to send him home then rather than wait? And obviously he did the face-offs and he mingled with some people and that sort of thing. So in retrospect, would it have been better on Wednesday to just say, hey, man, he says he's been around some people with it. We just got to get him out of here?
No, yeah, we had, this guy was with the people that he was with the entire time. We kept him away from people and now we know that he has it. He tested positive. We tested him. We know he has it. And now we can help him, too. Whatever this guy's going to need, we know he's positive, and we can help him and his family. I don't know, what he's going to need medically or what, you know, that's the other thing. When we're testing all of our employees and our fighters, we'll find out who has this thing and we can help them.
Last thing for me on that, you said, you know, you're going to continue to get better, continue to change. Are there any direct changes that will be made to the fighters that are coming in this week? Any policy, procedure changes because of what happened here? Was there anything learned that you can say, okay, here's where we tweak it now?
I'm sure, yeah, of course. You know, however it was handled this week, this is our first week. Like I said, we'll be better Wednesday, we'll be better Saturday, and so on and so on. It'll only get better. And we can share what we learned here doing 3 events with other sports leagues who are reaching out to us and asking. Go ahead.
Well, I was about to ask that. How many sports leagues have?
Yeah, no, the sports leagues and, you know, states asking us, you know, a lot can be learned by what we're doing here, not just for professional sports, but, you know, sending people back to work and lots of other things in life.
Has the president reached out to you?
Talked to the president tonight. He called me, yeah.
Just say congratulations?
Yeah.
What do you do with Francis now? Another quick finish for him. He's obviously kind of stuck in a weird position, but where does he go from here? He seems to want to be active, but I don't know who else he could fight at this point.
Yeah, we got to figure out this Stipe versus Cormier thing, and Francis is next. I mean, he looks incredible.
And so a lot of people online were wondering who the people that were fist bumping the fighters on the way out. So who were those people in the crowd greeting the fighters as they walked out?
I have no idea.
Greg Hardy walked out and someone just kind of gave him a fist bump. He looked confused.
Yeah, I have no idea. Had to be people that were working the event.
I know that Jacare tested positive for stuff, but if you look at the situation the world's in right now and the event tonight and the fights tonight, is this as close to a home run as you could have got this evening?
Yeah, tonight was absolutely positively. And the Jacare thing's a home run, too. You don't want people to test positive. We want everybody to be negative. But this week, we're going to do like 1,100 plus tests. Somebody's going to be positive. It's impossible not to be.
What's the situation with Jacare and Uriah Hall's pay? Are they both going to get paid?
Yeah, we'll get them figured out.
Cool. Earlier tonight on Twitter, I know you've done a couple of interviews about this already, but Steven Espinoza alleged that you guys have a clause in the contract that means you can take away the fighters' money if they say disparaging things about the company. I just wanted you to hear your reaction to that.
Say that again to me.
Steven Espinoza tweeted that you guys have a clause in your contract that could take the fighters' purse away if they say something negative about the company. I just wanted to give you a chance to respond to that.
That's not true. First of all, there's something in the contract for disparagement.
Right.
There's a disparagement clause in there that's in all of our contracts. Isn't that creepy looking little fucker a lawyer? Isn't that creepy little fucking goofball a lawyer? Does he not know what disparagement means? If you disparage the company. I'm not even a fucking lawyer and I know the answer to that question. Yeah, it's disparagement. It'd be like if you came out and said, they never tested me. The UFC never tested me for the coronavirus. But if you came out and had something critical to say about the testing that was true, that wouldn't be disparagement.
Cool. Tonight it was announced that Amanda Nunes...
Fucking law school did he go to? I can't stand that fucking creep. Anyway, if you couldn't tell, go ahead.
Is that based on the Mayweather-McGregor stuff?
Is the what?
Do you dislike him because of Mayweather-McGregor and the interactions you had?
He's just a fucking... Look at him. The creepy little dude.
Amanda Nunes versus Felicia Spencer.
What the fuck does he know about our contracts? No, you just hit me out of left field with this thing. What does that guy know about our contracts? And if you do, I thought that guy was a lawyer. Wasn't he De La Hoya's lawyer? I don't know either. Whatever. But anyway, yeah. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Thank you. Amanda Nunes versus Felicia Spencer announced for UFC 250. Is that the confirmed main event, or are you looking to add potentially another title fight?
I don't even know. Right now, off the top of my head, I got so much other shit going on in my head right now. I don't know.
Joe Rogan was interviewing the fighters tonight in the cage next to them, and he said on commentary multiple times that he wishes he, Anik, and Cormier could just sit together properly. Why are those guys spread out and then have them do like spots together and stuff like that?
Yeah, obviously there's this, the whole social distancing and keeping people away from each other and everything. Everybody here was tested, The people that are still here we know are negative. I don't know. We're just trying to, like I was saying with Morgan earlier, we're still figuring this whole thing out. This was the first one. It was a success. Wednesday will be better. Saturday will be better than that, and so on and so forth.
And last thing from me, earlier today, on I think it's your Instagram, Nate Diaz told Conor McGregor to shut his mouth, and then Conor replied, "Why don't you sign the contract?"
Right.
Is there something there that we should know about?
No, they don't like each other, but no, there's nothing going on. Conor wants to fight. I don't even know if Nate wants to fight. I think they're just talking shit to each other.
Sorry, two more things. What is next for Dominic Cruz at this point? He lost the title shot. He was out for 4 years beforehand. He looked good in there, but he did lose.
Yeah.
What do you think's next for him?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I guess that's up to him. I know he was unhappy with the stoppage and, was telling me that he thought the stoppage was bullshit and stuff like that. So I don't know how he feels about it.
And is this the end of Tony Ferguson versus Khabib Nurmagomedov?
Well, for now it is, yeah.
Thanks, Dan.
Yep.
Dana, President Trump had a message of, this being the first live sport to be back. How did that come about?
He, he wants sports back. He wants to do it in these phases. He thinks that sports needs to come back first, then figure out how to get people back to work, and then figure out how to get kids back in school. We came out and we were first, and he congratulated us on being first.
Were you surprised?
Yeah. Well, I thought it was, it was very nice of him, cool, but very typical of him. This guy's been awesome to me for 20 years.
How much confidence does this give you now that UFC 249, is in the bag and moving forward with the rest of the events this year?
I was confident, 3 weeks ago. I was confident 2 weeks before that. I knew we could do this. I knew we could do it. I knew we'd figure it out. And even with all the hurdles that we had early on, this has been fun. It's been challenging and it's been fun. I know that sounds a little demented to tell you that I've had fun going through this, but it's been challenging, and I've enjoyed the whole game of it, if you will.
So during the pandemic, you didn't get as much rest as the rest of us did.
Yeah, no. Yeah, my poor team. Where's Hunter? Where's Hunter? This guy was within an inch of death. The coronavirus was going to kill him before it even fucking got to him. My team has worked hard, and yeah.
One last thing for me. You were there, cage side, no crowd in the stands. What was that experience like?
Weird. It was weird. You guys must have thought this too, but during the Tony Ferguson Gaethje fight, crowd would have been going insane during that fight. There were just so many moments in that fight where I was like, if there was a crowd here right now, this place would be going nuts. And there's so many things that you love about live sports, whether you're home, in a bar, or there live, and one of the big key components to live sports are the group of people that you're with, and the energy that you get when cool things happen. And tonight was an amazing event, but that was definitely missing tonight. These moments where I mean, just the walk-ins alone. How fun are the walk-ins when you get that main event and the lights drop and the feature starts playing and then the walkout music comes and they come out of that tunnel to buffer to the first punch being thrown. I mean, it's all part of what makes this so great.
Have you heard back from ESPN? Any feedback on how well the show or how happy they were with it?
It did very well, and they're very happy. Yeah. They should have listened to me 3 weeks ago.
Hey, Dana.
Yeah. Hey.
Right here.
Hi.
With this being the only show in town, was the placement of ads, price placement leverage, was that any different to advertise? Were you able to have more leverage for advertisers with this being the only sport on Saturday evening?
I don't know about that. I think that, that's ESPN's deal. I'm sure whoever was advertising was happy there was a live event, I don't know how that works.
Calvin Kattar, impressive victory against Jeremy Stevens, 5.5 pounds overweight. Is it safe to say he's got a top 5 opponent next? What would you say is next for him? Maybe a rematch with Zabit?
I was super excited about that fight all week, and that fight delivered exactly like I thought it would. I mean, Calvin Kattar, proved tonight who he is and that he's here to stay and that he's the real guy. And Jeremy Stevens, I love that kid and have since the day he walked into this, this organization. That guy fucking brushes his teeth with bad intentions. He is a fucking savage, man. And I love watching that kid fight. So, yeah, the answer to your question, yes.
And lastly, is the fight still to make for the featherweight championship? Volkanovski against Holloway 2?
Yes.
Did you have an update on May 23rd in Vegas, or could it be maybe the next week?
I don't know. I'm just focusing on this week, man, and get through this week, and then we get back home. We'll see where the world is next week and where Nevada is, I want to go the 23rd at the Apex Center in Las Vegas, and hopefully, the governor lets that happen.
Do you know when you would have to know that you can do it before you'd have to move it, or is there a time, 10 days out or 7 days out, anything like that?
I'd like to know when we get home that we can do it. When you think about trying to keep this thing safe for everybody, there's no place safer to do it than at home in the Apex Center. We can make sure that everything is perfect there. And that place was built for fights. That's what we built it for. We invested a ton of money into that place, and hopefully we get to do it.
You said some organizations reached out. Do you know, did the Nevada Commission reach out about what you guys are doing here and maybe give approval or anything like that?
We've been working with the Nevada Commission since this whole thing started. We work really closely with them and have a great relationship with the Nevada State Athletic Commission. So we've been working with them since day one.
How quickly would you like to know what to do with the 35-pound belt, or do you want to wait till Henry kind of settles down and finalizes?
To do with what?
With the Henry's belt, or do you wait if he's really serious about it?
No, I mean, listen, what you do is we have 2 more fights here this week. We got Wednesday and Saturday. So my team is going to be buried, working this week. You let that guy take a week, go home, or whatever he's going to do and think about it. And then when we get home and get back to work on Monday, we call Henry and say, is this really what you want to do? And if the answer is yes, then matchmaking meetings Tuesday. We'll have another fight on Tuesday.
I know with the Jacare situation, you were pleased with how it worked out, everything, you got him out of here and everything else. Was the commission fully on board in Florida, or was there any concern of hey, maybe we should?
Let me tell you what. The Florida Athletic Commission has been incredible through this thing. The governor here has been incredible, and the mayor has been. These guys have been real. This is why we came here first. This is why I told you the other day when we were talking, we got probably 10 places we could go in the United States right now. This is why we came here first. We came here first because these guys have been incredible. And when you have people that are willing to work with you the way that the commission, the mayor, and the governor have here, it's a no-brainer. It's just this is where you got to go.
And then the last thing,
and I would suggest anybody else who's out there right now, anywhere in the country or in the world, and you're looking to do your first event back, come to Florida. Telling you, come to Florida.
And then the last thing on the Jacare situation, you know, you guys' protocols were in place, but part of it was for the guys to stay away from each other. And obviously he didn't fully follow that. Is there anything that you guys
Who's that?
Jacare was around other fighters on film and everything. But
Yeah.
Is there anything?
What I'm hearing about that situation, I know that there was some video.
Yeah.
That happened. It wasn't for a long period of time. He went over and did something real quick. The optics obviously look really bad on that one, but yes, this was our first one. There were a couple. You saw. I mean, even the stare down. He stayed away from me. He stayed away from, you know, Uriah. He had gloves and a mask on and all that stuff. You know, nothing goes 100% perfect. We did the best job we could going into this thing.
That's what I'm getting at. You guys did everything you did, but you can't be around them 24 hours a day. Is there anything you say to fighters in the next couple of cards to say, like,
well, I was saying that leading up to this thing. This is a team effort. You know, we can do everything perfect, but the fighters have to do their part too. Not just in the public when we're doing things in public, but you know, when they go back to their rooms, if they go out at night or anything, everybody has to be careful and try to do their part.
And then do you have a place in Vegas, or have you talked about it yet, of where you could do a similar thing that you did here, of having a hotel and kind of isolating from everyone?
We have a hotel. Yeah, we've got all that in place. I truly believe that it will be so safe in Vegas if we can do it at the Apex. We can make it so safe. That's it? And thank all you guys for coming too, man. I know, you know, this thing scares a lot of people, and you know, thanks for coming and supporting it. We appreciate it. Be safe. Have a safe trip home.
Justin, obviously, congratulations on the win and congratulations on being a part of an absolutely epic fight. Can you just tell us, I mean, physically how you're feeling and emotionally how you're feeling right now after a fight like that?
I feel like nothing's changed. I love being in there. When it's over, it's back to normal life for me. I'm sore. My elbow's sore from blocking the kicks. My finger hurts from punching his tooth. But, man, I don't look that bad, huh? For fighting Tony Ferguson. He didn't hit me with one elbow. You know, I was great tonight. That's all I can say.
You really did have a phenomenal performance. I'm curious, I mean, how did the fight play out in reality versus your expectations? I mean, is that how you saw it going, or did it surprise you?
I don't go in there with any expectations. I had none. I thought he was going to be faster, thought he'd be stronger, I thought he'd hit a lot harder. I always tell myself they're better than me. And, you know, it makes me push myself, like I need to push myself to be the best that I can be, to perform at the best level. You know, feels damn good. Feels damn good to be recognized as almost the best ever. Or the best, not best ever, but the best in the world at this current time. Feels pretty good, and I can't wait to face the challenge, you know, that is Khabib.
A weird environment with no crowd, but in some ways, I don't know, it almost made it like more intense because we could hear every shot, every breath. I mean, we could hear you talking, him yelling at you between rounds, you saying, "God damn, this is fun," you know? I mean, what was it like for you? Did the environment make it any different for you tonight than a normal fight would be?
No, no different. There was nothing different about that. You know, I only concentrate on what I can control, and that's not the crowd. You know, I would have loved if they were there. I couldn't imagine how loud they would have been. It was an amazing fight from what I've seen. But yeah, there's no time to, you know, it's just pure reactions, working on peripherals. You know, my feet are incredible. I have a great coach, Trevor. We've been working together for 9 years, or probably longer than that. And yeah, man, we're honing my skills, and you know, I'm pretty damn good.
at any point in time when you're hitting him as repetitively and as hard as you were and he's not going away, is there any frustration coming in or wonder, like, how am I going to get this guy out of here?
No, never. When they stopped it, I was really surprised. You know, once it starts, it's a blur for me. You know, I'm a competitor. I've been competing since I was 4 years old. I'm a show off. You know, I know how many people were watching. I know how it makes me happy. I know how good I just made so many people feel. And that feels great. You know, just pure exhilaration. I know I just screaming. You know, I know all over, you know, not just in this country, but all over the world. I get messages from all over the world saying how, you know, they're my fans, whatever. But humans recognize effort. I give max effort every single time. And it feels good to share this feeling with as many people as I know I just did.
At first, you threw down the belt, said, hey, you know, I want the real one, but it is there with you now. But, I mean, now, can you enjoy it a little bit? I know what you're saying. I mean, you're not the first person to say, I don't want the interim title, I want the undisputed title. But, I mean, it's still a UFC title.
Yeah, no, it is good. It feels great. That's the competitor in me, you know. That's the mindset I have to face, again, the challenge that is Khabib. I can't think of myself as the champion because, you know, for one, I'm not. And for two, Khabib's still there. And so, again, I can't become complacent. I have to, it's always the first fight, you know. People think they're infallible. That's what will kill you in this sport. My lights can turn on. I'm human. I have a brain. As soon as you shake it, I will go to sleep. I almost did at the end of the second. But the good thing is I'm fighting humans. And so, you know, I just perform.
All right, so last thing from me, Justin. Obviously, you didn't gather scot-free. You got a couple little, you know, dings here and there. But how soon would you like to fight Khabib? When would you like to see this thing happen?
I'm not sure. You know, I'm going to enjoy tonight. Go home to Safford, Arizona, enjoy my family. Enjoy my double bonus. It's 9 and 7. No one's fucking with that.
You mentioned about being knocked down in round 2. How close were you and how hurt were you to going out?
I don't know. No idea. I need to watch it.
You had an extra couple of weeks to train for this fight because it got postponed from being in California. Now you were in there and you went nearly the full 5 rounds. How important were those 2 weeks to you, cardio-wise?
Yeah, it was an extra 3 weeks, and it was extremely important. Not only for my cardiovascular system, but for my mental preparation. You know, I go in there and I go to a special place. You know, not many people can go to my special place with me. But it takes time to prepare for that mentally. So, yeah, it was critical.
You mentioned that you thought he'd be a little bit faster. Dana White actually said he thought Tony looked slow tonight as well, and he speculated that maybe that weight cut he did a couple of weeks back could have had something to do with it. Do you put anything into that?
No.
Okay.
There's not a lot of people that haven't stepped in an octagon that should say anything like that.
And lastly, what do you think Tony should do next? You know, him in that Khabib fight was always there. It was always there. That's always what was next for him. Now that's gone. What do you think Tony should do next? Is there any sort of fight you think he should be matched up with?
I'm just trying to go home and enjoy tonight, man. I don't even know. No, I have no idea.
Fair enough. Thanks, John.
Justin, right here. We spoke a few times over the past few months, and you were in that limbo phase where you didn't have a fight booked. Well, they booked Khabib, Tony, Connor's name kept throwing around, but now you know who you are fighting next. It's uncharted waters from your past few months. So how does it feel to know you finally get Khabib?
Yeah. You know, you get what you ask for, and you know, all I asked was for a say in my destiny. You know, it would have hurt so bad to get passed up because of politics, and that's all I was arguing against. You know, I have to go to war for myself, and thankfully, you know, I put myself in a position to be here, and I capitalized on it.
And then one final one. You said you want to get back to Safford, Arizona. Apparently they're shooting off fireworks right now after your big win. A lot of people woke up to fireworks.
Yeah.
And said, so what's your thoughts on that?
Man, like I said, it feels so good. I know how many people I just made feel, you know, happiness, gratefulness to be part of this journey. I'm grateful to have them. It's the middle of nowhere. We got Walmart. You know, school clothes shopping was vacation for us. But these kids need to understand that you can do whatever you want as long as you work hard. And that's all I've done since I was 4. I've worked hard and I've listened. I've surrounded myself with people that I trust, and then I listen. And they tell me to jump, I ask how high.
Justin, 7 UFC fights, 9 fight night bonuses. Why didn't you do the signature backflip off the cage after the victory?
I'm getting old. No, I don't know. I was going to do it, and then I think I slipped and accidentally went over the fence. Yeah, one day. When I win the belt, I'll do it.
Tony Ferguson cut weight a first time April 18th. Wondering what was going through your mind. Plus, you have a wrestling background. You know how much it sucks to cut weight. He did it twice in less than a month. Do you think that affected his performance in any way, shape, or form tonight?
I can't say, but I do believe it would affect my performance if I did that.
And lastly, is it 100% that Khabib is your next opponent? It wouldn't be, let's say, Conor McGregor if he stepped in there and money couldn't lure you to a different fight?
No, I want the biggest challenge in the world. That's Khabib Nurmagomedov. USA versus Dagestan. And then, I'll go to Ireland and do what I got to do.
Thank you.
Justin, at the end of the second round, Tony, everybody in the stadium could hear Tony yell over across the ring to you, "Get him off that stool. You're sucking wind, kid." Did you? I assume you heard that, and did that register to you? And
I didn't hear it. Didn't hear it, but it sounds like false confidence. False confidence ain't going to get you anywhere in there. I believe in my hard work. I believe in my coaches. I believe in myself. That wasn't going to deter me. I control my thoughts and emotions. Nobody has control of that. Nobody gets control of that. So, he's trying to psych himself up. He knew he was in trouble. He just caught me with a good one. Maybe, I don't know, maybe he thought I would quit. But he found out really fast that there's no quit in me. And he'd be a fool to think that I would.
Great job tonight.
Thank you. No más? Thank you.